Hello, everybody.
Hello, and welcome to Capricorn III. I'm Disabin Dan, and you're watching us, really, the Explorers League and all that fun stuff. This is a Mates 20 show. My name's Disabin Dan. You can probably guess how with it I am today. And I'm playing with these lovely nerds. That's about it, really. Sarah, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Sarah or Conquistadora de la Estrella on Twitch and YouTube. You can also probably find me on Instagram, but it's pretty much always just going to be roller skating stuff because that's what I use it for. And I'm the storyteller, and if I also sound like I've been gargling marbles because I've been sick for the last few days, and I sound worse than I feel right now. So it's fine. It's not like a
You
bad.
actually sound fine right now. You sound much
Yeah,
better.
I just needed to blow my nose several times and not explode.
I mean, I can still
But,
hear it, but it's fine.
yeah.
It sounds better than when I joined the call.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Jesus. Yeah, you sounded like you were actually having to force yourself to talk.
We have already gotten derailed and we haven't even started the episode.
Oh well.
Well, yes, that's what the pre-show is for.
Anyway, Shadows, who are you and what do you do?
Banter is, dude. It's Ryan next. Ryan,
Yeah.
who are you? What do you do?
You're muted.
Hello. Hello, I'm Ryan. I'm muting myself, apparently. Hey, I am playing Stephen Wills here, a security engineer trying to keep these people alive. And when I'm not here, on Thursdays, you could find me on my channel, Ryan9948, being a morphing master for my Power Rangers RPG. You should check it out.
Yup.
Shadow, who are you?
It's Gerbil next. Sorry.
Hi, Gerbil, who are you?
Hi,
What do you
I'm Gerbil. Apparently the one who always curses the intros to this show, because apparently I can't keep my goddamn mouth shut.
Well, he noticed. Sorry.
Dozer.
Sorry.
Hey, I'm the only one who's allowed to make fun of myself.
Gerbil.
Anyway. Oh, good lord, I'm being mommed. Anyway, I play Vinny, the doctor and lightweight champion, which is code for he gets drunk easily.
It was his choice to have 4 shots of vodka last session.
I never... Vinny is smart, not wise.
He has demonstrated that amply over the show.
Shadows, who are you and what do you do?
I'm confused as to why my roll 20 closed itself. Yay!
We have all the tech gremlins today.
Because F you, apparently.
Apparently.
Good news, my ear just popped so I can hear you all better.
Ooh, that's fun. I just died. Yeah, I'm the tech gremlin not hoarder.
Code hoarder.
Not really. What's Wrangler? Tech gremlin wrangler extraordinaire. There we go.
Oh my god, you're the code cowboy.
Why?
Yes. Yes. It is now canon.
I refuse this title.
Shadow
Shadows is the code cowboy.
Shadow is just our decker. Shadow is just our decker.
It is
I
now
take that
canon
title more approvingly.
It is now canon.
It is canon. It has been codified into law. It will be known henceforth immediately. It'll be known as thus henceforth.
It is now canon that Lauren's avatar is a cowgirl.
Okay.
No. Rejected. Stop. Stop. I'm escorting that. No.
I have made everybody hate me. My job is now complete.
I mean, Shadows already knows what her physical avatar looks like, as in what her preferred appearance settings are. So just add a cowgirl outfit to that.
No.
That's why I'm speechless.
No. No.
I'm not sorry for
I
this.
reject it.
I'm not sorry at all.
Anyhow, the lovely stream is brought to you by my computer. That's it. That's all you need to know about me. Also, I played the bestest, the most wonderful dad of the entire show. Also, the only dad in the entire show. All hail Dad Nell.
Also, the music was by Miracle of Sound. Check them out.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, at least it's easy enough to answer the question, who's the daddy?
Anyway, let's start this show.
Who wants to do the recap?
Can I force Dusu to do it because he was awful?
I mean, at this point, yeah, it's turning into a tradition that the recap is a punishment duty. So, Doozer, take it away.
Last week we started with Ford getting a shit kicked. Harahan not consenting to a near death experience as she almost got flambéed. Temporally flambéed, no less, and Raynell stayed in his hidey hole because Raynell is smart and or a coward.
I would say smart. He did open something so that he could interface with the fight, so not a coward, but smart.
McClellan curb stomped Ford through the gauntlet, and we are now Ford loose and fancy free. I do believe. Oh yes, Stephen cut Alice's arm off to free her from mind control and all that fun stuff. Alice had an arm regrown, but it was an idealized version of her arm, and she was finally forced to confront the horrifying realization that yes, she really does need to go outside more.
Probably not this outside because, you know.
Yeah, probably.
We had a tea party with the Fae, which turned into.
Dude, I'm getting that. We then contacted the Fae, and the Fae returned to the workshop. The Fae returned. Stephen and the Red Baron and Mackenzie were having a conversation. McClellan.
Do you remember why we contacted the Red Baron?
Oh, we contacted the Red Baron to let them know that we had got rid of the
No.
Red Baron. No. Oh, did we get home?
No.
To help with Winters.
Oh, right, that too.
That was a changeling.
Yes, that. Look, shut up. It turns out Mackenzie is not, in fact, a mage. She was an awakening. She was going through what the Fae call the chrysalis, which is when they turn from a human to a changeling, when their Fae side awakens. And it turns out that Mackenzie is one of the Red Baron's children, as well as partially being one of the Red Baron's servants, if I remember correctly. And then McClellan turned up, sensing an opportunity to make an ass of himself, and promptly got drunk and passed out in the hallway. Alice went to the captain to see how much damage she had done to said captain, and found Raynell watching the captain through a security coat, and honestly, just shrugged, because at this point, well, that's not even the weirdest thing that's happened this week or today.
Well, it's also because because it's the Capricorn, and the Void Engineers went a bit hard into the name, because the Capricorn star sign is the ram or the goat. Everything on the ship is goat themed, including the security drones. So there's just like mechanical goats wandering around that sort of aid Stephen in his duties.
And if anyone has played Doom, you can start to see the parallels. And our drive is called the Hell Drive. So, and we're on Mars. So, it's
The two
Time
ghosts.
to
like-
kill some demons?
There was no point during production where the Void engineers stopped and went, you know what, maybe we shouldn't.
I mean, it wasn't the
And,
original plan to go to Mars.
fair.
The ghost
And,
names are Henry and Charlotte, by the way.
lol. And I'm assuming that's a reference that I don't get.
No, I just like close names.
Okay then. And I believe we saw sensor images of the paradox tear that Lauren showed us. We saw that the missing crew member was in two places at the same time. And Alice realized that Blorb, her trusty spectral companion, is actually her sister Anne, who died 10 years previously. Has been watching over her younger sister ever since.
Because she realized her sister was a fuck up incarnate.
It do be like that.
She hasn't said that specifically. She's definitely thinking it quite loudly.
Just if like anybody with mind that walks past and it's just like, wow, she really thinks her sister's an idiot. No.
With Stephen's free mind, it's like language.
Anne's
Oh,
perpetual mental state is facepalm.
Probably. But I mean, you would pick it up with mind anyway because she's a spirit. But yeah. So I think that's everything. I think that's where we ended.
Yeah, that's where we've ended, and then things have again calmed down. There's not as much of a hectic not as much of a hectic day or 2 days or whatever. So we've been able to actually have a week of reprieve. And you've all been going about your business, doing what you want to normally do. So Mac, you've been actually now getting to know your deceased sister in spirit form, which has actually gone pretty well. There are still some hard boundaries that Annie is like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. She's just like, every time Alice has asked her a certain question, she's just gotten more forceful and more annoyed with the response.
Just like, stop.
Is it bad that the moment I heard that my brain went to my therapy senses are tingling?
Well, it's also,
no.
how do you do therapy on a ghost? They can't learn new experiences.
I mean,
Details, anyway.
with great difficulty.
So that's what Mac's been doing. She's also been working on the physical body for Lauren, which is nearing completion, actually. So just in the middle of the workshop, there is just a... Well, actually, I'll leave you, Doozer, to describe what you envisioned Lauren's body to look like as you were building it.
I mean, Alice would not presume to decide what Lauren looks like. She would let Lauren choose every aspect of her physical form. So, Raynell, what does Lauren look like?
More like storyteller. Does she ask Alice to create her avatar in physical form?
I mean, she would, because she's...
Then could you please describe what her avatar looks like? I will make you suffer this pain.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how we delegate.
I think it's more just none of us really wants to be one holding this potato when it explodes.
Not my potato. I didn't make it.
Lauren's Lauren's perception of herself, because she's created like a digital version of herself and like a digital space for herself where she can just exist without needing to do things, is that of a teenage girl around about 14, 15-ish, with sort of hair made out of light, because she's not quite grasped the concept of what is considered normal. She's definitely an early bloomer, hasn't realized, and is also just the most wholesome being.
Okay, quick question. Does the automata look like, are we going Data or alien androids?
I imagine we're going probably more Data, given that there's not that much to work with on the Capricorn. So there's
also
only
because
so much she can do.
Because you have been doing the time bubble for quite a while, I will say a week has actually passed. For you, Alice, it has felt more like a month.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and with Annie, with her, it has sped up the completion of the Lauren project tremendously. So yeah, it's almost finished. The purpose of the project is to allow Lauren to completely transfer her entire consciousness to this body, so no part of Lauren will be left behind where we go. So there's no part of Lauren that gets abandoned on Mars forever, because that would be horrific.
Because Lauren is a little bit more than a sentient computer program, McClellan has offered his assistance in the transfer. Basically, because he has both mind and spirit, his idea is that he can basically be a bridge, a physical magical bridge between the body and the computer.
I don't think there really. I don't. Would there need to be one? I mean, you could just literally plug her into the computer. Like that's. I mean, okay. She is designed to be. You know how the Borg sleep in Star Trek, where they plug themselves into an alcove? That's kind of what I'm imagining.
My question is, are you really willing to trust run-of-the-mill computer cables when it comes to a magical entity?
And that's fair. But
this is why we've gotten off track, but Alice probably should consult Raynell at some point, because he's a hyperscience fucking specialist.
She's been consulting him and Anne. I imagine the three of them will be working together a lot.
Anne has got no real expertise in this particular field. She's not a robotics engineer.
Oh, what? Oh, I was assuming she was. In that case, yes, she's working with Raynell heavily.
Anne is an engine specialist because she was part of the original Capricorn I's engine test when it exploded.
Yeah.
She's a propulsion specialist, so she can figure out the engines, but she doesn't really know computers that much, aside from the computer controls the engine so that it doesn't overheat, and that's about as far as my knowledge goes.
I like the idea that at some point Alice says, "Hey, can you help me build this body?" And goes, "I'm not a roboticist. I'm an engine specialist." And then Alice goes, "But didn't the engine blow up?" And Anne goes, "Yes." Well, no. And Alice goes, "So about the specialist part." And then I imagine they just end up bantering with each other for a good hour or so.
Meanwhile, Vinny in the
throwing light insults to one another.
Meanwhile, Vinny in the corner quietly thinking to himself whether or not this is healthy.
Alice wondering how Vinny got into the workshop. But yeah, seriously. In that case, yeah, she's been working with Raynell extensively the last, month.
So that's pretty much what Alice has been doing this month/week. Raynell, what have you been doing in your week of activity?
Well, helping, answering the many emails that come very quickly, surprisingly quickly. Oh yeah, she's having a whole month.
Yeah, but you have had a month's worth of correspondence in a week, and
it's great.
You kind of had to mute your notifications because it was just like
yeah, So, to some degree, he's taught Lauren how to the basics of basically all of his technical skills because she can answer Mac quicker than he can.
Yeah.
But
because she
also,
could
he's
petition
painted a
part
whole
of her
fucking
brain to do
army.
it. Yeah. She kind of got obsessed with 3D printer.
So he's painted a whole army.
Okay, I am legitimately curious. Which 40k army did Lauren pick?
Elves.
Fantasy. Hi, elves.
Oh, I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Also, because there's a bit more to it than that. Yeah.
Yeah, also, Raynell realized that eventually she put 2 and 2 together and made them sentient. So she got asked very politely to go see the ship's psychologist because Raynell does not know how to deal with a 14-year-old-ish, not really, making sentient life out of pure magic.
Now I'm just imagining little 14-year-old Lauren holding up a tray of living miniatures, going, "Do you like it, Daddy? I made this for you."
I think
Meanwhile-
the age is a bit mixed up, Doozer, but close.
Yeah,
Meanwhile-
14-year-olds don't talk like that, but also kinda, yeah.
I see this, and I just be here and now doing this Spy Kids 2 speech in his head. Does God hide in heaven because he too is scared of what he created?
Anyway,
He's not scared
so-
of Lauren, but he does think Lauren might need to seek counsel for why this is a horrible idea and she shouldn't do it. Because Raynell's not.
Mentally equipped for that.
Yeah, he's just not equipped for that at all.
Meanwhile, while Vinny's inner monologue is, when they trained me to deal with teenage mothers, this is not what they had in mind.
Wow.
I feel like there's a shared. Please help. We need an adult.
Oh yeah, I assume this is just like on a voice call, and there's just like a very tiny screech of a griffin and like a war cry in the background.
And McClellan just goes, She made the fantasy army sentient, didn't she?
I'll send you the list of what she made.
At least you didn't make an army of corn.
Honestly, I'm click.
Could be a Saloneshi army.
No. Don't even put that out in the universe.
Rejected. I'm gonna X-card that right away. Please no.
Have you considered sentient Nurgle that just infects the entire ship?
Moving swiftly onwards.
We have a
Look,
life
look,
mage. It's
look.
fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Grandfather Nurgle just wants you to accept his love.
Or the
He
better
wants you to know he loves you.
Or the better option if we don't want the grandfather. Skaven army, anyone?
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, back on track. We're dealing with the AI equivalent of puberty, I guess, / whatever the fuck Lauren's doing.
I mean, she was creative. She managed to invent something ish. I regret everything.
If I may, can we have like a small conversation with Vinny and Lauren?
Sure. Let's just before we get completely bogged down. So that's Alice's week / month. That's Raynell's week with a bit of McClellan brought in.
Yeah,
McClellan, what have you been doing aside from being a very concerned therapist this past week?
So, after recovering from his poor life decisions, he first of all apologized to everyone at the tea party. And then he started researching a way to travel to the deep dreaming. And basically the Cliff Notes version is in order to do that, you need to create a waystone, which is essentially your own thoughts, imagination, dreams, and ambition personified to your character. So, yeah. And intermittently, he has found that if you'll allow it, that he's more easily able to understand Parsley's Fae stuff because he's been actively researching it. So, yeah, that's been McClellan's week.
Yeah, his downtime has been spent researching fairies, basically.
Would McClellan ask Alice for help with the research, given her extensive knowledge of the occult? She's got 3 dots in Enigma.
Honestly, no, because he really doesn't want to distract you from building Lauren's corporeal form.
I'm curious what McClellan's inner monologue is for the idea that Alice found out her sister was dead, found out her sister had been dead for a decade, found out she'd been gaslit for a decade, found out that her sister is actually the spirit entity that's been her companion and is now bonding with her sister while working on creating a body for a brand new life form. Like, that's a lot.
There are no words in the English language to describe the sheer level of concern that McClellan has for Mac right now.
Also, let's not forget she
McClellan.
Sorry, what?
Unrelated, McClellan. Can you make me a willpower roll, please?
Also, let's also not forget she was mind controlled by a shadow entity. So all of that on top of it. Alice is doing fine.
2 successes.
Yeah, just during one of your late night research sessions where everyone else is everyone aside from Raynell, because Raynell's sleep schedule is completely insane.
It's naps. That's his sleep schedule. Naps.
Yeah. It's just 4 naps a day.
It adds
Maybe
up to
more.
8 hours.
Yeah, so it's just during one of the late night sessions. You just hear a voice, and you just hear a voice as you're just sort of sitting down but at your desk, just researching all this stuff. Parsley at this point has gone to sleep because you're just researching Aetheryte stuff, and Parsley can't really help you there because she doesn't understand the Aetheryte worldview.
If I may, Parsley is asleep on a stack of papers in the corner of his desk.
She's managed to somehow slot herself on top of the ECG machine. You're not entirely sure how she got there.
Cat's doing cat shit anyway.
Yeah, when you just hear a voice of Vincent.
Spirit eyes, please.
All right.
Six difficulty?
Yeah, I'll just go with difficulty 6, yeah, for the time being. Yeah, you can see that there's you can't actually see anything. You just hear the voice again. Vincent. Your eyes will not perceive me unless you choose to open them. Let me back in.
Oh, sweetheart. You're gonna have to try a lot fucking harder than that.
Let me in!
Oh, you have no idea who you're dealing with. I deal with hell of a lot scarier shit than you every time I close my eyes. It's a wonder I'm sane in the morning.
What really exists in the Umbra, Vincent? All that knowledge, all that exploration.
Oh,
is yours
fuck
for
off,
the taking.
Slanesh.
This just keeps going for an entire night.
Does he actually
And-
call that Slanesh?
Yes, he literally just says fuck off, Slanesh.
Just
So
wanted
today
to
I learned
clarify.
everyone on this ship is a Warhammer nerd.
Kind of makes
Apparently.
sense. You're a bunch of astronauts.
Okay, specifically, McClellan is a scientist geek who grew up in the UK. Of course he's into Warhammer. Anyway,
Stephen learned about Warhammer because he had to assassinate a target that was a big Warhammer nerd.
anywho, so basically,
Yes, with a poison paint pot.
basically he's dealing with a shadow entity throwing a tantrum at him.
Okay.
And you know what? Just out of pure spite, I want to try and banish the voice from. So basically, okay, this might be a little bit weird, but I'm thinking an amalgam of spirit and entropy. If that makes any sense.
Sure.
Basically, my objective is to basically shut this bitch up. 6 again?
Yeah, difficulty 6.
And he just looks where the voice is emanating, and he just goes, shh.
Seems
Did that
to
pick
go
up on the
away.
mic?
Yeah, I picked up on the mic. It seems to go away.
Just imagine McClellan's like, shit, the perils of the warp are real. Sorry, didn't mute myself on a cough. Sorry. I imagine McClellan's just like, shit, the perils of the warp are real.
He looks down.
Taking it remarkably okay to realize that the warp exists for a Warhammer fan.
McClellan, I imagine McClellan looks down and sees a sentient griffin miniature on his desk.
You see that there's like a miniature forest on your desk that you didn't see before.
My life is so fucking bizarre.
Does he get any arrows shot at him?
Yeah, for getting too close to the forest.
He literally just does the flick off his desk. Because
yeah.
he is too tired to deal with this.
Oh yeah, that actually you just hear the sound of a horn and just even more arrows that are slightly on fire because magical arrows.
And I imagine it's that night. If you've ever watched Night in the Museum, night at the first Night at the Museum movie.
It's kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, and he just goes.
It feels like it feels like being sort of constantly stuck with like little match heads that have just been like someone's just lit a match, it's immediately gone out, and they've just pressed the hot match to your skin. It feels like that over and over and over again.
Oh, that.
It doesn't leave any burns, but that just feels like that.
Lauren,
Hmm?
your sentient miniatures are currently assaulting my face.
Well, you must have done something to annoy them.
That is the incorrect answer. The correct answer is, I'm sorry, I will deal with this.
Vincent, let me in and I can deal with the problem.
Captain, could you come to my office, please?
The commander she's currently actually asleep. And she kind of just gives a grubby, is like, what?
I'm really sorry I woke you up, but I think you'll agree that this is pressing.
Okay. I'll be right down.
He grabs his wine bottle and is currently poured a glass away from him, and because I think the commander might appreciate wine at this stage.
Vincent, I can help you. All you need to do is let me in.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
You are actually feeling slightly more swayed before, though. You can feel just the edges of your mental strength just starting to buckle a bit.
I'm not actually casting a spell, but he is basically exerting his mind sphere to basically try to essentially flex the poison out.
Oh, that is actually a spell. It's a mind 2 spell of the mental shield.
Okay. I'll just
That'll be difficulty 4 because it's actually really easy to do and it doesn't require any material components. Okay, yeah, you're able to just put up a mental shield around you, and for the rest of the night, you do not hear the whispers of void. You've managed to block them out entirely.
Captain?
Yeah, she eventually turns up. You can see she's literally just buttoning up her jumpsuit, and has kind of just sort of got to the point of she's just carrying a pistol all the time now, and is actually just doing up her buttons while still holding the pistol.
Void is
Doctor.
Void is whispering in my head. The wine is there for a reason.
I need to be on duty soon. I don't want a clouded head.
Okay. I'm just gonna put it like this. We are crash landed on Mars. We have been dying and resurrecting for the past month. And in the time that we have been able to cohesively keep us, we have found out that we are umbral entities. The corpse of the previous captain of Capricorn II showed up and literally tried to eat us. And Lauren somehow managed to turn plastic minifigs into sentient creatures. I think a glass of wine is warranted.
I mean, Harahan actually takes a look at the particularly these are the Sisters of Avalorn that are just on the table milling around a forest that they are cultivating out of your paper. Like you can actually see there's tiny little shoots because someone is actually is like imbuing it with life magic essentially, or a simulacrum of life magic. She kind of actually just looks at the little emergent forest and she kind of just sort of, huh, no, that's actually pretty good. She just picks up the wine, just kind of takes a casual sip, still just looking at the forest, not looking at Vincent, just goes, given given how I've seen how you guys are brought back, because I could dislocate myself from time, you're not really any different to those things on the table, Vincent. And just takes the glass and walks out.
Existential crisis in 3, 2, 1.
No. And he just looks at Parsley, who is still asleep, and goes, I really wish I could call that woman a bitch occasionally.
You can call me whatever you like if you turn up to your PT training on time.
I hate correspondence mages.
And
I imagine Harahan's like, I heard that too.
if she does, she doesn't give a sign of it. But yeah, the night passes. When the morning shift starts again at 8 o'clock, there's again the customary briefing for the crew. Winters is there. You're all there. Harahan is there. Still just very deliberately holding the glass of wine that Vincent gave her. You don't actually. You can kind of see that she's not, or it looks like she hasn't actually drunk any of it. She's just sort of swirling it around, giving it an occasional sip as she's just sitting in the wardroom, just like. So last night was quite eventful. Does anyone care to explain what happened?
What did happen last night?
Dr. McClellan, you have the floor.
Void was cosplaying as Slanesh and whispering in my brain.
So I'm guessing you didn't shut her into the deep umbra, you just punt her across the gauntlet.
I curb stomped her through the gauntlet.
Right, so she's just on the other side of the same dimension that we're in.
Yeah. So would this count as a peril of the wolf?
Maybe?
I'm really not trying to think about it.
Commander, this should push up the. I also said I was going to speak to you today about something.
Oh, I was going to say that you've been talking with the commander over the last week or so. Just
I was about to say we never actually did what Ryan was doing over
well, we can actually tie this one in back. We can tie this into the crew briefing. So Ryan,
we did get kind of carried away there.
With Harahan's help and Winter's help, what have you been doing this past week?
Commander, with that information, I believe the preparations should be pushed forward a bit more. Looks everyone, just for an update, Winters, and the commander been making sure the Tangler and equipment is ready to go for a full expedition to the Capricorn II. I had also asked Vincent here to make sure he was ready to cast spells that would allow me to be able to deal with spectral entities if he did not wish to join the expedition himself.
Okay. I'm just going to pose the question. Are we really sure going to the Capricorn II is a good idea?
Yes, because it may have information on the void, and that seems much more relevant now.
We need to know what happened over there.
It's also the worst possible idea you could ever get, given that we died multiple times trying to reach it already.
Yeah, like I mean, it's possible that it was Ford killing us. If Ford is out of commission for the time being, we don't have a better opportunity. Presumably. I mean, that's a big assumption there. So
This is also why me and the commander has said that it will be a limited expedition, not every single member of the crew.
I mean, if
On that note, Mr. Wills, has anyone actually seen Second Lieutenant Castillo since you brought him in 2 weeks ago?
I look at the doctor.
Has anyone seen him?
Can everyone give me a intelligence resolve check, which I think is how we're doing memory in this.
I don't think there is resolve. That is V5.
Is it not? Oh, okay. It was
I think it was intelligence wits.
intelligence wits. Yeah, that's the one. Intelligence wits.
Is there a way to roll 2 things?
Just hit the dice and do math.
Yeah.
I'm just using intelligence medicine because it's the same pool.
Or that if you have the same dice pool for something, you can just use a proxy and just say what it is you're doing. Yeah, now that you mention it, or now that the commander mentions it, Castillo has been missing for about a week and a half. However, everyone has seen him on different days, but no one has ever. But well, everyone's only seen him when no one else has been in the room.
That is disconcerting.
So it's basically sometimes you go to one of the shower blocks and you see him there, just still in his spacesuit, just staring at the wall.
All right,
Sometimes you see
which
him walking down a corridor. Sometimes you see him doing something in the parts bay.
which room was he last spotted in?
Lauren, do you have an ID?
I will leave that one up to Raynell and Mac because you guys both got 4, so you can decide which one was the most recent one and where it was.
I mean, given Alice has been in the workshop the most, I imagine the workshop. The question is, given that Alice has 4 in time now, would she have sensed any kind of temporal nonsense going on?
No.
So it's not like he's out of time. Weird. And that, I saw him in the workshop. Actually, he was, I think he was getting something for one of the containers, and I went to check, and whatever the item he got was missing. So
it was one of the crates of demolition charges. You know, because you were meant to get to Pluto and then sort of demolish parts of the landscape so you could actually fit the ship in properly without crashing it.
Yeah.
Or no, fit the Tangler in. It's also for taking rock samples. So it's like mining explosives essentially, and a couple of the blasting charges were missing.
He took some of the blasting charges. I have no idea what he's using them for.
McClellan is getting up and going immediately to the workshop.
Lauren, do you have an idea on where Castillo is right now?
I don't know.
Alex would have sent a report of that to the captain, by the way. So, like, hey, Castillo was just here taking out explosives. Might want to keep an eye on that.
Given I also got 4, and Raynell's questioning the whole situation of every single crew member, would it be out of sorts for him to have done a space and spirit scan?
No, it's perfectly on keeping, especially given what you found out about yourself a couple of nights ago.
Do you want me to roll it, or do you want to just give us the result?
I will say that Castillo, or what is wearing Castillo's spacesuit, is just nothing. As in, when you cast the spirit sense, you can see that it's the same way if you know where there's a black hole, because you see where there's the gap in the stars.
Uh-huh.
That is kind of like what looking at Castillo is.
With spirit, what about space? Correspondence.
He appears to be a conga line infinitely looping around himself.
The fuck?
As in, if you look at him with correspondence sight, you can see him, and then 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 him.
I've got a theory.
I feel like
out of
that would have been
what's going
also sent to the commander, and with the priority recommendation of go look at him with your correspondence sense, please. Please.
Okay.
Now.
So
I've got an idea of what's actually going on with that. Would Raynell have told Alice about this, or would the captain have told Alice?
Would the captain have shared the document that Renault sent her?
Yeah,
she
her
would have
first
shared
in
it with
command.
Mac. Yeah, she would have shared it to Mac because Mac's the executive officer. So
can I roll
Raynell,
an
you didn't
intelligence?
get Raynell, you didn't get the report from Mac, but Mac, you got the report from Raynell.
Yeah, can I roll an intelligence enigmas to see what I can figure out?
Sure.
So McClellan was going to the last place Castillo was seen.
I'm assuming
And-
he's not there anymore.
I'm also spending a bit of willpower so I can get a guaranteed success.
Okay, so +1 success. Yep.
Yeah. Difficulty
6.
Ooh, 4. Ooh.
You know,
For 5 actually with a 10, but
Yep. This is this. You can kind of figure out that this is a very rare, but not unheard of occurrence with correspondence mishaps.
all right.
You kind of have to frame it with sort of metaphorical language a bit, but it's kind of like Castillo has gone through the correspondence equivalent of shining white light through a refracting prism.
Yeah, she explains that to Raynell, I imagine she then just says, in common parlance, he's fucked and needs you to unfuck him.
Also, he doesn't have a soul. Like, he's a lack of dimensional entity.
He is specifically a gap in the world, as opposed to when you looked at Ford, who was very much a malicious entity that is not human.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, he's
yeah.
he doesn't have one. He's a lack of a thing.
What would I know about that? Like the lack of soul? What would that? Does that mean anything to me?
Not really. You don't have spirit.
Yeah, in that case, Alex is like, I've got nothing with regards to the lack of a soul, though. That's new to me.
Is McClellan caught up with this so he doesn't waste a spell?
Yes. This is happening at the meeting at the moment.
He comes back and goes, well, I left way too soon. My apologies. What was that about Castillo not having a soul?
I looked at him when he was in the workshop. He's...
You actually saw him in the computer core for one of the times.
How did he get in there? The door is welded shut.
You don't know. It's premium coated, and Lauren and you both been monitoring it, but you still managed to see him repairing a circuit board one time and then just disappearing when he walked around a corner.
I assume he's everywhere and nowhere.
Yes, so he's gone through the equivalent of a space prism.
So...
And also he doesn't have a soul.
What does McClellan know about like mishaps that cause the eradication of an entity's soul?
Well, funnily enough, as part of your research, you were looking into various types of other supernatural creatures. There's some Aetherite writings on vampires and how there's a documented lack that when studying them with noetic science, they come up as an error message or basically like a false reading. There's also cases where the changelings can steal your soul, but they usually put it somewhere. Werewolves can imbue their souls into items and into totems, and that's how you can then have ancestral totems with the power of like your great grandfather. It's very bare bones because the Etherites are just like, yeah, these things exist. We've tried researching them. Our research team was eaten.
Hmm. So
You possibly think it's something along the lines. Right now, it most sort of lines up with maybe a vampire somehow, but that doesn't also explain the fact that he seems to be everywhere and nowhere.
actually, can I roll enigmas to see if I can suss out more?
Yes.
What's the difficulty?
Difficulty 7.
One success.
Given that, you know what? Fuck it. Schrodinger was an Aetherite. Yeah, he is undergone Schrodinger's paradigm.
Called it. Point to
Oh,
Will.
oh shit. He's gone through Schrodinger's paradigm.
Someone pick up that phone. I called it. Sips. We'll sip some of his coffee.
Yeah.
Wait, so he became a
Also
cat? Looks at Wells.
Also for the player, what is Schrodinger's paradigm?
Well, funnily enough, Dr. Schrodinger, the Aetherite scientist, kind of exploded himself when he tried doing. He actually turned the superposition thought experiment into a real one, but the Society of Ether talked him down from using a cat, so he did it to himself.
Hence Raynell's joke of, so he became a cat?
Yeah. So, Erwin Schrodinger in this continuity literally became his thought experiment.
So he's
Everywhere
both
but
dead and
nowhere.
alive until someone checked.
That still doesn't explain what Schrodinger's paradigm is.
Schrodinger's paradigm is recreating the experiment somehow.
Is Schrodinger's paradigm that a person can be everywhere and nowhere?
Yes, the paradigm is a quantum superposition.
Yeah, basically, he's here and not here at the same time. He is alive and dead at the same time. He is all things and nothing at once.
So basically, Castillo has essentially become he is now. Castillo is.
So are we saying he's basically the improbability drive from the Heart of Gold?
So how are we going to counterspell this is the question.
Well, seeing as how
I can try to put him back together.
That's what I was thinking.
if I can speak, seeing as how Schrodinger is still in under the effects of his own paradigm, and years upon years upon years of Aetherite research research where the best minds of my organization have been essentially devoted to that field of study, and they haven't come up with any possible way of reversing it. Castillo is for all intents and purposes, Castillo, the man, no longer exists.
I reject that reality and substitute my own. So, does anyone else have any ideas on how to fix this?
I mean, to be fair, the ones we tried were
I
easy,
sent you a
right?
DM,
So
Sarah.
I could do better.
Hang on a sec, yeah. There you go.
So, Sarah, I am willing to say that is what I just said is McClellan's belief. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's true.
So far, no one has actually managed to recreate the experiment exactly, but also they've not been able to piece Schrodinger back together either. So it's like this is a documented thing. We don't know how to resolve it.
What would out of character, like out of and in character question? What would the power output of an entity like Schrodinger be?
Harahan actually answers this one because she's fairly knowledgeable on the systems of her own ship, even if she doesn't know the specifics. And it's like, well, theoretically, if you could cage a quantum superposition and attach it to a procedural generator, the power generated by a quantum superposition observing itself for eternity would be infinite. Do anything with that.
I think I know how Lorentz engines work. And how the Capricorn II engines worked. And the Capricorn 1. I think I know what they were trying to do. And she's pointedly not looking at because I imagine everybody knows. I imagine everyone knows the blob is actually Anne. So
who was in the room with you at the time?
Everyone.
Only Harahan, Raynell.
Harahan wouldn't have shared the details. It'd be whether or not Raynell or Mac told anyone.
I mean, if anybody overheard Alice talking, like, well, if either Stephen or McClellan overheard Alice. Then,
yeah.
Can we say that this came up in a therapy session?
I mean,
well, actually, you did say that you overheard them just talking to each other and realizing that Blorb was talking back when Blorb has only ever communicated in emojis and visual communication.
And McClellan is just like so
Actually, BRB, I need to blow my nose.
But because I wasn't actually finished. Alice, the point I was getting at is Alice very pointedly isn't looking at her sister while she's saying this, because this is a conversation they these two have had in private many times without Anne being very and just refusing to answer. So Alice is coming to this realization all on her own.
As a note, Raynell's mentor was the lead developer for the Capricorn III's drive. So I'll need to ask Sarah, but I don't think, based on what we talked about, that's correct.
Well, I mean, it's an assumption on Alice's part.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. But I'll, my question for Sarah, whenever the storyteller is back, is going to be based on what I know from a certain doctor talking a lot about their research. Is that correct? Because my mentoring night had long chats And mostly there was vodka involved. On Alicia's side, because Raynell is a lightweight.
Lol.
Okay, so McClellan is just pretty quiet and going,
We're waiting for the storyteller to get back.
Yeah.
this isn't- oh, you know what, whatever.
Sorry, I just needed to clear out my nose again.
Mhm.
I know the feeling.
Anyway, so McClellan is just gonna. So, what we're suggesting is we go to the Capricorn II, we loot its engine, and use Castillo as a battery of unlimited power to drive the ship. Where in the hell are we supposed to go?
Also, as the chief engineer, I'm gonna veto that idea very hard. We're not doing that.
I'm going to vote no on that one on the simple premise that under the simple premise that the Capricorn II is fused into the planet. I don't think that engine works.
To be clear, I wasn't pitching that as a plan. I was merely trying to clarify that if that is what the captain was getting at.
If the captain is getting at that, Captain, you've got the veto of your chief engineer, and good luck finding someone else to make it.
Well, I mean, Dr. Raynell, you and Dr. Pavlovsky worked on the Hell engine. You would know the technical specifications of our own engine are not suited to containing an entity such as Schrodinger or Castillo.
That was out of character. That was my guess, and I was going to ask you about it because I thought, based on what we talked, that Mac was wholly incorrect on that guess.
It's also why the Capricorn I and the Capricorn II were powered by a fear drive. The Capricorn III is powered by a hell drive.
Could we contain them for long enough that we can try to fuse them together? Yeah, base.
Storyteller.
Hmm?
Storyteller. As an etherite who's studied Schrodinger's paradigm and Schrodinger himself, what are the possible consequences of fusing to quantum? What did you call it? Quantum
Superpositions.
Where are you getting the second one?
Superpositions.
Well, because there's Castillo and Schrodinger.
Yes, but we don't
We
care
don't
about
have Schrodinger.
No, we're trying to save Castillo. We don't give two shits about Schrodinger.
Hey.
Also, our ship doesn't work by quantum superposition. It's a matter-antimatter reaction.
Let the storyteller answer the question.
Hang on, I'm distracted because Cat has arrived. What was the question?
What are the possible consequences of fusing two quantum superpositions?
Matter-antimatter annihilation.
Yeah, that was going to be my assumption.
I mean, that's what our engine runs on, but also we have plenty of both.
Yeah, so if we want to create an antimatter bomb, fusing two quantum superpositions would be how you do it.
But also we have plenty of antimatter in the holding tanks.
Yeah, and we're not trying to fuse two quantum positions again. We're just trying to reunite Steel, who is currently one.
And like I said, so far, ever since Schrodinger's experiment, unless we can somehow create to solve the equivalent of a centuries-old math problem that's been left unsolved for a really, really long time on Mars, there's really nothing we can do.
But now
Well,
you like maths.
You see, the problem is everyone who tried to solve it was an etherite.
I think we're all getting a little off track here. Look,
My
anything to do with this. If it's true that the fear drive was powered by a living superposition, we have right out there proof that the engine does not work. We cannot use a superposition to get us to power an engine. Now, we might be able to help Castillo and undo what's been done to him, but I don't know correspondence. No, sorry, I don't know the space procedures. So
no one said anything about using him to fix the engine. As chief of security and someone whose entire job is protecting you all and keeping you all safe, I just want to get him safe and fix what's going on with him. That is the one and only thing I care about right now.
I will remind you all, he's a superposition. The way to get rid of them is to observe them. We've observed him. I've observed him with this fear that would most observe him as a superposition, and he didn't collapse. Also, he doesn't have a soul. Even if the superposition is solved, he's still a soulless body.
Sorry, I just want to pause the roleplay for just a second and say, hi, Sage the Floof.
He was trying to knock over my books.
Floof.
Well, Doc, I believe you are one of the smartest people I know. While me, Winter, and Vic head to the Capricorn II, could you look into this?
I can. I'll try to collapse it, but we might just end up with a dead body.
Before we leave, this is pretty off topic for what we're discussing, but I think it's...
Then may I finish the topic?
Okay, whatever.
Vic, better to have a dead body than leaving him in the limbo state like this.
Is that all?
Yes, that is all Stephen wanted to finish it off with.
Okay, so... Player, sorry for interrupting. I'm bad. I'm trying to get better at that. Sorry. Anyway. Should we go back to Earth?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I personally, I would vote no. We don't know what we are anymore. And I don't think, like, Earth is not safe. Earth isn't remotely safe. I mean, Mars is unsafe, and we're look, I don't know the exact distance, but Alice would say the exact distance. We are this amount of many miles from Earth, and Mars is still a dangerous place to be because of what's happened to the gauntlet.
Okay.
If we go to Earth, we are
84.48 million kilometers.
Yeah. If we go to Earth, we are literally putting ourselves at the heart of a storm.
We have two options. If we are able to get this fixed, we can go back to Earth and try to help, or we continue heading into the Deep Umber, where we were informed by the Red Baron that a human-eating entity that would hate us resides.
Or we can just make Mars home.
Yeah, we could just stay here.
And Stephen, I know you personally want to go back to Earth, but I'm gonna attempt to use plain English to describe this. So imagine every single violent prisoner on Earth were residing in the same prison. And then, all of a sudden, the building completely disappeared and just dropped these insanely violent criminals who don't think like us, whose brains are alien to us, whose motives are completely incomprehensible, and their version of fun could kill thousands. And they are just scattered all over Earth. We are umbral entities now, which means most likely we would attract those murderous criminals.
Harhan interjects at this point. She's literally just making some porridge for herself because it's like, okay, this is going well. Like, you can see that she's not just making the porridge with like the milk and the water and stuff. She's just adding whiskey straight to the porridge.
Lol. And then when McClellan finishes, Alice says, I'd also like to. Sorry.
I wasn't quite finished.
Well, it's more
anyway.
specifically Harhan interjecting at this point and just sort of casually, just, well, I mean, even if we were just talking about the Engineering Guild and the Void Engineers and the Aetherites, then what we are, we would be immediately on the watch list for every single enlightened personnel on the planet because they would want to either study us or kill us. Anyway, and just sits down with her food.
Let's also point out that believing that we would make a difference and save the world is pretty. That's
No one said
honestly.
That's hubris.
No one said anything about saving the world. I just want to help people.
If we're being completely frank, we are the least qualified creatures, and I mean we as an enlightened persons, are the least qualified to deal with a paradox tear. Because that thing literally deactivates what makes us us. So at this point, the only things that could really stop it are things not affected by a paradox, i.e. vampires, werewolves, or changelings. Or maybe mummies if they exist.
Looks at winter. Then one of us needs to get home at least.
There's no evidence within the Aetherite library that mummies are actually a thing beyond just preserved bodies.
Yeah, which is why he said if they exist, because, let's be honest, he wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Again,
Stephen looks at winter.
Stephen looks at winter and goes, well, then at least one of us needs to get back.
I'm just going to point out Tomb Kings, because he is very much a Warhammer nerd.
And
what will one changeling do?
I mean,
Let's be realistic, everyone. At best, it's one changeling. It's not going to change anything. At worst, she's going to her death.
Like, am I? Oh, you're talking about me.
Yes. Do you want to go to potentially your death? To save what? A planet that is dying?
Puts her hands on the table, just puts her head on her like elbows, and just like.
I'm sorry, but Wills, Mars is at this point safer than Earth. Or did you not see that thing eating chips like it was breakfast?
There is another option, something that we're not considering. We have the spheres necessary to terraform this planet. We can make this a new home, at least as a temporary solution for those that can't defend themselves on Earth, allowing those that can defend themselves to focus on the task at hand instead of worrying about saving innocents. We could make this a refugee camp, essentially.
That still requires someone to go back for them.
I mean,
he points up because he's in a video screen.
I know,
I'll try.
I know. It's risky either way, but I feel like that's the safer, in quotes, option.
If
All
that's,
right.
So,
All right. All right.
If that's the option, if you're going to set up a refugee camp here or terraform this, then I will go back to Earth to try and let people know that's the case.
All right.
Uh,
I say, Captain, if you agree, I say we put this to a vote because at this point, in order for this group to survive in a cohesive unit, we need it to be a cohesive unit. So we need to
Agreed.
pick a course for the future.
Agreed.
So, all those in favor of turning the red planet into a refugee camp for those who we can save.
Alex raises a hand.
I don't think we can save anyone. I'm going to be realistic. Even if I could make a portal, which seems like a really horrible idea now, but I could do it and send Wills back. There's no telling what would happen to him when he crosses it. There's no telling what would happen to everyone who crosses it back. We might just be killing them all.
I can't let you leave this ship. And this is actually Lauren interjecting.
Why not?
Because she's supposed to protect us.
Because you would be outside of my reach to reconstitute you if you were disintegrated, and
That's fair.
my core programming, even with my ability to feel and think, I can't just ignore that. It causes me physical pain to let you die.
That sounds like something we need to fix. Why didn't you tell me
We
before?
can't fix that.
It's my 0 level protocol. It's the foundation of everything else I am.
Imagine you remove your empathy. That's basically the same thing. It won't
Wait a
be
second.
Can we rewrite it then? Or not remove it. Can we rewrite
That would
it?
be
So it's
That would
That'd be the
still be
equivalent-
not you.
Do you
Yes.
do you want to lobotomize me, Dr. Mac?
No, I just
Moving away from
horrible.
moving away from this really weird conversation. I think I can. Okay, so Earth is here, the paradox tear is here, and we are on the other side of the paradox tear, right?
Yes.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
That's a way to put it. Technically, 3D space doesn't really work that way, but yeah, basically.
Yeah, the paradox here is multidimensional, so
So we fix the ship.
We can't.
Raynell? Hypotheticals.
Grounding you.
Assuming we can fix the ship, we take off. We pilot the ship to the other side of Earth. The paradox tear is still here. We are here. We are not going directly through the paradox tear.
That's, I mean,
If we want to help Earth, that is the best way.
okay. I mean, it's theoretically possible, but then we're talking about escaping the entity's attention once we get close to Earth. Which, given that it's treating the Void Engineer fleet like pickamix, I don't think that's going to happen.
If the fleet
Pickamix,
couldn't
rather.
get to Earth, it's a suicide
Yeah.
mission to try. This ship was not designed to live in atmosphere. It was not designed to enter an atmosphere. It has no way to exit it. It was made in space for a reason.
Also, this ship is on its side. Lauren physically cannot lift off in this condition. And
No.
I think
Lauren can't lift off. You're not
That's
getting
it.
this. The ship was never designed to land.
Mm,
even with the decreased gravity of Mars, the ship is too heavy.
I'm still missing pylon number 3.
And she's
Yeah.
missing one of the pylons. So the hell drive just wouldn't work. The hell drive control room is gone. And in the paradox there, what you're talking about is making a new ship.
Hmm.
That would be the minimum requirement.
Something that could lift off from a planet, which I mean, if you know, if we have maybe a few centuries to test and test and test and test, I'm sure we could get there eventually. But I don't think Earth has a few centuries.
At this point, and this is again Harahan, she is actually just sort of sitting like this, just you can tell that she's just on the verge of giving up entirely. She's just like, well, on one hand, it's whether or not you want to survive at all. We also don't know in our condition what happens if we cross the paradox tear or go around it. We are in, and she actually just holds up her hand, and you can actually see her hand fade away from flesh and it's like bone to like the sort of umbral entity sort of tentacles that are like knotted together to form a humanoid shape. We have no idea what happens if we go even near that tear.
I imagine we become lunch.
Or
For all
the thing that is inside all of us joins the tear.
and for all intents and sorry.
She was just saying that's a horrifying possibility.
And I'm pretty sure nobody wants to voice this out loud, so guess I'm doing it. For all intents and purposes, we aren't human anymore.
Going through it could make it worse for Earth. We could be speeding up whatever's already happening.
So the only
I need you all to understand something. I have worked with you for several months, but even before the launch, and I chose all of you for this mission because I had read your files, I had met you all, and I figured you had what it takes. I need you to understand on a Eidolon deep level. We died on Mars.
True.
Commander, I want to correct you for a second. We died the moment the engine turned on.
The beings sitting at this table are simulacrums with the memories of the people that died.
I think, therefore, I am Stephen. I look, I act, I think, I am.
Well, you know how that shapes reality, Stephen. That is exactly how our magic works.
Exactly.
Which also ties me into the next point. We're going to have to go to the Capricorn II eventually anyway. If what McClellan said last night happened was indeed happening and not just him finally succumbing to the stress of everything, which I would not blame him if it was.
Well, that's easy.
We need to deal with Void.
I don't think a mind shield would suppress a mental breakdown.
No, Wills can scan and see if you had a mental breakdown.
Wills would look and do so.
Okay, roll me that one. That'll be Enlightenment Mind.
This is the benefit of having at least one other mind mage aboard.
Yep, it's why there is actually redundancy in the Enlightened crew.
Does anyone else have life?
The ship.
Well, the ship. Yeah, Lauren. Okay, cool.
Steven scans for a mental breakdown and realizes that everyone in this room is just one
But
collective mental breakdown, just waiting to happen.
But Stephen is not allowed to roll good in magic. That is what we've learned.
I mean, you didn't watch it this time, so you still generate
Mind
no,
is
this is a
pretty
this is a
plain.
coincidental effect. Yeah, there's also most mind things are coincidental anyway because it's very difficult to show. That's a mind effect. It's like you can only really know mind effects are happening if you have mind to sense it. So you only generate one paradox.
He pulls out his rule book and goes, rule station 84299. Mental breaks can be treated only by the physician on board. Which, given that who I'm looking at, is an interesting kind of offense.
Yeah, you look at McClellan and he's doing as best as he could under the circumstances, and you kind of look at everyone else, and that's kind of the same. Well, everyone except Harahan.
Oh, right now, because he's through a computer screen.
Oh yeah, but Harahan is just sitting there with her whiskey porridge, and you can actually just feel that she's just willingly giving up at this point.
The only person here who's on the verge of a full collapse is the commander. No offense.
I'm having whiskey and porridge at 8:30 in the morning. I'm not doing well.
Yeah, you're on the verge of complete give up. But as you said, Commander, you chose everyone here for a reason. That includes you yourself.
Well, I was assigned to this ship. I had then free run of my crew.
Yes, but they would have chose you for a good reason.
So
Because I'm expendable.
No.
I think Alex would turn to Anne and just say, you are technically now a member of this crew. You should get an opinion too.
Oh, speaking of which, Parsley, do you have any 2 cents?
Now you have to roleplay 2 spirit companions.
Fuck both of you.
I think both of them wouldn't care because they are already umbral entities. They could just not go.
Anyway, so what we're saying is Stephen's arm needs to also start being able to talk now.
I think you're all missing the real question you should be asking, Lauren. So fuck you. Now you have to play 3 NPCs.
All right, I'll do this in order. Annie just kind of forms like a sort of miniature humanoid version of herself. She doesn't have enough like spirit stuff to make her full body, but she's just basically like a Barbie doll in terms of size. And she just kind of shrugs and is like, I mean, I'm dead, like actually dead. I died before coming here, so I'm possibly the closest thing to a pure human left on this ship. And well, we do have, as you said, we do have all the resources and procedures necessary to terraform Mars, at least this part of it, so that we can live. I mean, it's not like we're going to have to run into any reality deviants out here, given that most of them have probably been eaten.
Technically, all of us probably are counted in their numbers at this point.
What are you talking about? This is a void engineer ship.
I mean, the whole,
that.
not the whole, not human.
Yeah, that.
Moving swiftly on.
I imagine Anne picks up on the awkwardness from everyone there. Like, yes, this is a void engineer ship.
Yeah, she kind of just goes, we will address this later.
Actually,
as a very sort of officious, like, scientist tone, effectively.
Was she a void engineer?
Mm-hmm.
I think right now is just gonna message Mac, and I think wouldn't Blorb or Annie now be on Mac's tablet so she would see the message.
I mean,
She's currently
she's
hovering
taking
on
a
her
humanoid
shoulder.
form. So, all right. Oh, I
Note.
imagine her on the briefing
Yeah.
table, but fair enough.
Nah,
Actually,
she's bound to Mac.
Fair enough.
actually, at this point, McClellan just goes, "The chairman enacted the tunneler protocol."
And anyway, we still got the other two NPCs though.
She goes silent, just kind of pondering this one.
Yeah.
Parsley just kind of sort of emerges from under the table, having been batting at an empty food can. Just completely ignoring all of the heaviness because she's a cat, she's a fae, she doesn't care. And she just leaps up onto the table, just casually sort of scattering cups everywhere, just like, Neh. And just kind of sort of sits there and is like, I mean, I quite like it here. Besides, I can go back and forth anytime I want. I can wander as far as I please. I just like spending time with you, Vincent. Why do you think I came to join you all those years ago?
Catnip?
Etheric catnip is very good. But also, I will point out, Vincent, you would be more knowledgeable about this than anyone. When you get the attention of a fey creature, it's not always a good thing. And I have been at your side for 5 years.
There have been a couple of times you've scared me shitless.
Oh yeah, those were fun.
You take far too much glee in. There was far too much glee in that statement.
Again, just kind of cat shrug.
Okay. Captain? What are your orders?
We're still missing Lauren.
Yeah. I'll do Carahan first, though. So Carahan just kind of looks up and is like, I mean, yeah, if we should do the expedition to the Capricorn II, we need to actually see what happened. If we know exactly what happened on that ship, we might be able to have a better plan of attack for when Void comes back. And it seems like she is.
Yeah, we do seem to be on a bit of a on the clock on her return. We need to find a way to get rid of her permanently.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's extra pissed at me for curb stomping her through the gauntlet.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Maybe she
There's
just needs a hug.
There is also the more, well, I don't really want to say symbolic because that's close to what a traditions mage would think, and I'm not quite there yet. It could very well be that the Capricorn II is her procedural anchor, for lack of a better term.
I could
So
give them a containment unit with a couple milligrams of antimatter designed to fail an hour after they press a button. They'll be gone.
Yeah, if we can destroy the Capricorn II, we might be able to destroy Void and the rest of her crew. There's still 3 crew of the Capricorn II unaccounted for. We found 4 of them in the Tangler. We've met 1 and fought 1. There's 3 missing.
The
Which is-
spacesuits. The spacesuits.
Why haven't they attacked then? If they were part of the same entity that Void is.
Maybe they're not part of the same entity. Maybe they're the remnants of what's left after she devours them.
And I would like to point out, cats like to play with their food.
Yeah. I still say we should go with the expedition. Right now it's pretty much the only decisive action we can take, otherwise we'll just all kind of sit here doing nothing and just whiling away our days talking about what possibly could happen.
I think the expedition is. It's dangerous. It's a hell of a risk, but I don't see an alternative.
Harahan just sort of gets to her feet and like sort of very loosely pistol at her side, just kind of waves it around. Is like, who are we if we're not void engineers? Who are we if we do not just chase into the dark?
Smart.
Smart's overrated. Clocks his arm down.
I'm just thinking of, I think it's like the Rascals. Are we men or are we mice? We're mice.
We're at the edge of the universe, Dr. McClellan. What else is there besides acting on our natures? And she actually just leaves the room at that point to actually just go and start doing the final preparations for the
Stephen would follow her to also help with the final preps.
Yeah, Winters gets up as well, just because they're the ones. Obviously she's the pilot, and she's the one who's been repairing the Tangler the most. And very quietly, just after the commander, Wills and Winters leave, Lauren just kind of pipes up as like, I don't want to be left behind.
That's why I'm
be.
building the body for you, so we can bring you with us. I would never leave you behind. That's why I'm building it, to make sure that doesn't happen.
But you're safe here. I can keep you safe here.
You. I know your programming says that it's your duty to ensure our survival, but the Void Engineers never intended for you to be a truly living creature, and to place that burden on you and you alone is cruel when you've still got so much of yourself left to explore and discover. You should be allowed to do that instead of being relegated to being our keeper. You should be allowed to live. And that's what I want to do. I want to give you that opportunity.
And at this point, McClellan just quietly stands up and is walking to his office.
Yeah, I think Alice is probably getting up.
Sorry.
Like just getting all her papers and everything together. Like she lets like Anne just jump onto the pad, and Anne sinks into it and becomes like a screen protector on the pad again. And Alice just.
Given that obviously that means that pretty much everyone has left the actual briefing room, or like the sort of regular dining table, because it's the same thing. In the computer core, there's just a quiet pause before Lauren just asks Raynell's like, Dad,
Yes.
would you be able to create a webway gate?
Storyteller, check your DMs. Because the second of the three would be an answer.
Yes, you can, and actually also yes, you can to all of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
In which case, he'll slowly turn and go. That was the offer to send Mr. Wills across. I could. It could end up destroying both planes.
How big would it need to be? I could print out an army and send it to fight on our behalf.
The problem, Lauren, is the gate itself. It would connect across the tear. We don't know what would happen. I already made that. I already connected back to Earth through a pinprick. Opening a large gate might just destroy this side.
How big is the pinprick? It's what, the size of your hand?
Less than that. It was enough to get oxygen into my helmet that was rapidly losing it.
Oh.
That's all I needed. We're talking about something big enough to send an army through.
Doesn't need to be a
Even single
normal
file.
size. Doesn't need to be a normal sized army.
That's still bigger than my mouth. And
She
all
actually
I
just
opened
sort
was
of
a quarter
gestures.
of that.
She actually just gestures to the various elves milling around.
Maybe single file, but they wouldn't be able to do much.
It's better than nothing, isn't it?
It's also risky.
If this is sentience, I don't want it.
I know the feeling. I'm sorry you have to feel it. Can he run a program that is a avatar of him in the little space she's in so that she can feel a hug?
Hang on, I'm quietly dying because of it. Yeah, you can do that.
In the background, he sends a message to Alice. It says,
And that message is?
there is a phrase, and it says, this can override the crew determination protocols. You want to free her. She's ordered to protect her crew.
Alice will look at that message and he will.
There's a message sort of inbuilt as, this message will self-destruct in 5 minutes.
Yeah, Alice just. Lauren, I'm not going to
Yes.
make this decision for you. This is a choice for you to make, and you alone. I can turn off your. Oh, what was it you call this? Sorry.
It's not turn off the
Correct.
crew determination, is basically change who's on the roster.
All right. I can change the crew determination protocol. Basically, I can make it so that none of us are the crew, meaning you will not feel physical pain if we die. And it can be your choice to bring us back or not. It can be your choice it can be your choice simply if you would like for me to do that. But I won't choose to alter it for you. It's your decision. And
Be right back, dinner's ready.
Do it.
are you sure?
If this means I can be free. Do it.
Okay. Okay, and Alice turns it off. She basically deletes all crew members from the roster. And this is where Lauren kills us all.
I would like
I like. Sorry, I was gonna say. I imagine it's a really dramatic scene where we just see Lauren say "do it," and then we see the pan, and Alice just presses the button, and that's where the screen cuts to. I presume McClellan.
Yep.
So at this point, Lauren, can we speak?
What do you want to talk about, Dr. McClellan?
Who are you?
I don't understand.
Beyond the computer, beyond the original program, beyond your circuits, what are you? As a person, do you know?
I am Lauren Raynell.
Well, Miss Raynell, if you could, what would you be doing right now? And what I mean by that is, if you had a choice to go anywhere you wished, where would you be?
I'd be here.
Why?
Because my father is here.
No.
Ah, fuck.
I'm so sorry, Lauren. I'm sorry that you're stranded here. I'm sorry that for the beginnings of your
Oh,
existence, I was a part of your pain. I want you to know that I consider you family. Hell, I can pretty much consider the crew as my family at this point. I mean, most everyone I had back on Earth is gone at this point. And I'm an only child, so I never got to be an uncle. But
perhaps we can come back someday.
I'm scared.
None of us are getting back home if Void is still alive.
I don't think any of us are getting back home, period.
Then we can't make a life for ourselves while she is still here. Oh my god.
Well, Lauren Raynell, it's time I got off my arse and started helping. Don't know what in the fuck I'm gonna do, but I need to do something.
Can you do me one thing?
Yeah?
Make the Void bleed.
I have the ability to make spiritual entities feel the most excruciating pain imaginable. I've never done it. I've never had the want to.
I saw what became of Ford. I want the creature wearing her skin to know what that felt like.
When I'm done, that thing will be begging for destruction.
Thank you, Doctor.
And if anyone had spirit in this room, they would see a part of McClellan die.
I think you're the only one in the room at the moment.
Huh? Sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
I think you're the only one in your office at the moment. Everyone else is either in the computer core or in the Tangler Bay preparing for the expedition.
Or wherever Alice is. Might be
Yeah.
the Tangler Bay.
I think McClellan is going to the Tangler Bay.
Stephen's
Alice should be in the
helping.
workshop. Alice is back in the workshop because she's always in the workshop.
That's fair.
Oh, okay.
So I think Alice, through the time bubble, gets this very interesting high-pitched sound that is a PA announcement.
Yep.
Before that, quick question. Mechanically, could I use a spirit life amalgam to fortify a person's body from harm from a spiritual entity? Or basically what I'm trying to do is create a safeguard against Void's corruption.
Yeah, you'd be able to do that with. Well, actually, you'd be able to do it with just spirit because you have enough spirit. If you wanted to actually, essentially, make it so that it's something that is innate to someone rather than like they're holding like a talisman or something, then yeah, it'd be life and spirit.
Yeah. So basically, McClellan walks up to each of you and basically does the thumb where the third eye should be. And do you mind if I just do one roll for the lot?
Yeah, I might as well. While you're doing that, what's the PA announcement?
Crew, I've got a plan. It might be slightly insane. I've just figured out how to dimensionally create a subdimension that will let me catch spiritual entities. We can shunt Ford in there.
Alice stops what she's doing and immediately, what help do you need?
Well, Ford needs to be a valid target.
Okay, okay, well, how do we do that?
They didn't possess one of us.
We just need to let her through the gauntlet.
Okay.
Which
Let's,
means I'd have to let her in.
well, I mean, we can set up an arena of sorts, make sure we're fighting on our turf. This
I mean, I
time.
can just make a tear into the gauntlet. That's not too difficult.
Mm,
We don't know what
It
else
might be
could
like-
come through, though.
yeah, that's the problem. We need to make sure that we're fighting on our terms and not being surprised.
I'm gonna be real frank. I would rather risk my own bodily harm than risk something worse than void clawing its way out from beyond the gauntlet.
Worst case scenario, whenever she possesses you, I'll toss her spirit into that subdimension. Just make sure yours doesn't get dragged along.
Well, let's make sure everyone's prepared for this, shall we? And that's when he does the which I got 8 successes for.
Yeah, you can get everyone. I pinged everyone. So everyone on the crew can get +2 willpower for resisting both the physical and mental effects because they are the same. And we will end it there.
I want to add a last commander. Sorry for ruining your trip. This is an important diversion.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Join us next week for the finale, where they will finally face off against Void and hopefully defeat them.
To be fair, now that I have Dimensional Science 4, I could probably just rend Void into actual Void, but this is more fun.
No. I can't do the void voice.
I've got an idea for next week's episode title, but that's after show stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. We've been the Explorers League, and we're gonna go and do an after show. Bye.
Bye.